Ecological coaching approach to coaching. What is it? It's an athlete-centered approach that puts the learner at the center of our attention and the center of our focus, as opposed to the traditional approach that puts the coach at the center of everything that's going on. The ecological approach is going to emphasize the idea that developing skill is about developing athletes who can adapt and who can solve problems in a number of different ways. But not only that, but have the ability to then solve a bunch of different problems in a bunch of different ways, as opposed to one ideal technique, one ideal way of doing something, one ideal way of solving a problem. The ecological approach also replaces the need to ingrain motor programs and require athletes to reach a level of skill mastery before they progress to the next thing. The ecological approach allows the athlete to develop at their own pace. It allows them to find what's going to work best for them. And if the suggestion that the coach is giving for what to try or how to do something, if that doesn't really work for them, then no harm, no foul. They can find a different way of achieving the same outcome goal. So that's kind of where it starts and what it is. It's replacing this idea that one size will fit all and work for everybody. A couple key principles that are going to be important to understand when you ask me, what should my practices look like and what do you want me to teach? Well, I can't really give you a generic answer to that. It's going to depend on your team, where they are in the season and their development, and then also the individual constraints, meaning what do your individual players on your team each need? What I can tell you is when designing your practices, the key things that we want you to consider and grapple with are going to be, one, the session intention. We're not just rolling the ball out and letting them play. We're not just putting up the nets and kicking back and chatting amongst ourselves while they just play. We're designing things with a purpose and with an intent. And it's going to start with a shared collaboration between what we see as the coaches that the team needs to improve on, and then also what the players are coming in and offering up what they feel like they need to improve on or what the team needs to improve on. So start with session intention. Involve your athletes in that process. Number two, constraining to afford. So what we're looking to do when shaping new movement patterns, when we're shaping technique or skill, the idea of using constraints is the idea that instead of explicitly telling a player, do it this way or do it that way, we're going to remove certain options that would allow them to do something how they're doing it. And maybe it's a less preferred way or less effective way. And we know or believe there could be a better way of doing it. Instead of just giving them the answer or telling them what that better way is, we want to constrain in a way that forces them to, or not allow them to do what they're doing currently, and then focus the search for a new and different and better way to solve their movement problem or achieve their outcome goal. So if it's setting, for example, and we want to help them be more accurate, the common thing is to tell a kid to get their feet there and square up. Okay, great, but they can't do that every time. So instead of giving them an explicit instruction to square up every time, we may just find another way, find another word, find another way to scale the activity that would allow them to see like, oh, I don't actually have to square up every time. And I know that because I'm achieving the outcome that I'm looking for, and I'm doing it not just consistently, but more consistently than when I try to square up every time. So we'll talk more about constraining to afford as we dive deeper into this presentation. But the third part is going to be representative learning design. And what that really means at its core is preserve the aspects of the game that will be present in the real performance environment. When you're getting ready to go to a qualifier or triple crown or power league, all the things that are present there on game day, we want to try to recreate and resimulate those things as much as possible in practice. And understandably, that a 18 forefront practice is going to look highly representative, way more so than a 12 national or 12 black team. Okay, fine. That is true. But both practices can still be representative. It's just that the beginners will be utilizing more of a simplified version of what the real game is going to look like. The last one here is repetition without repetition. So it's replacing the idea that we're going to help our athletes achieve a level of mastery through rote repetition, through repeating and achieving the same exact motor pattern all of the time. and doing it the same way every time. No, we're going to have them do things in a number of different ways, and we're going to really challenge their learning and skill acquisition through this process of having them repeat the same solution, but maybe not necessarily getting there in the same exact way. So repetition without repetition.